Hello, folks. I'm back with something I've never done before. It's called a question and answer session here. But before I get to that, I just wanted to tell you that I'm really loving my CZ P10F. I've been really shooting this a lot, as well as the Sig here. But I've been really shooting this a lot lately, and I'm really having a lot of fun. And it's the first time I've ever shot a firearm where I got over 1,200 rounds in roughly 1 week, or within 2 weeks, because I normally will shoot like 200 rounds for a break-in, and then afterwards I would do another 100 and then put the firearm aside and then shoot my other firearms. But this is the first time I've ever did that feat. It is a big firearm. A lot of people talk about how big it is. I affectionately call it the boomerang because that's how it seems that big that I call it the boomerang. Okay, one thing about the firearms community that I really like is the firearms community, we all tend to like to help each other, ask questions, answer questions, and I'm really happy about that. We all help each other. And I got a question from someone by the name of Isam Banarji, or Banarja. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but he had a very good question. And the question was basically on the Sig Sauer P220, and I would say the P226. His question was on the P226, but because they are Legions with the single action only configuration with the safety, he had a question regarding the safety, and his question was there any type of movement of the safety when the safety is on and when you attempt to pull the trigger? Let me further explain. With this particular safety, like I said, I'm very happy about this safety because it's a very unique safety. You can put it in safe mode, even though it's not loaded, and rack your slide, and then your safety is on, unlike 1911s. But one part of his question was, when the safety is in the safe position and you pull the trigger, does the safety move or wiggle when it's in its position of being set in the safe position? Now, we were conversating backwards and back and forth, and I couldn't quite understand what he was talking about. So I took this to the range yesterday and then fired some rounds and with the safety in the up and with the safe position, and then flicking it off and on. But this is what he's trying to convey. Now, it is in the safe position, and I'm pulling the trigger here. The trigger, it normally gives you some slack. What he's showing, if you look real good over here, this is the left. Well, for a left-handed shooter, this would be their safety. It's on the right side. Right-handed shooters, as you know, it's regularly on the left-hand side, just as in 1911. Now, what he is saying is, once I pull the trigger, this safety on the right-hand side is going to move. It's going to wiggle a little bit. Now, watch this. I don't know if the camera is picking it up. Now, I can't pull the trigger, but it's slightly moving. And hopefully you can see it. It's slightly moving. And if you go on this side, you don't I'm trying to get the camera to focus. You don't really notice it. But sometimes you do notice it because both of these safeties will move slightly. Now, without putting the pen in the way, ruining the focus. Now, I'm pulling the trigger, and it's ever so slightly moving. Especially, you'll notice it on the left side. It's moving slightly. And the reason why it's moving like that, because both of these two portions are connected underneath. On most configured, I would say, 1911s, the main safety is really on
the left side for a right-handed shooter, and the right side is an afterthought because I believe I check my facts on this. Majority of people are right-handed, so the left side's usually an afterthought, and then they slap on the safety next to it, and then they flip it up and down just to make sure it works. But this is supposed to be made where it's an even. What I'm trying to say, it's even for both left-handed and right-handed shooters. I'm going to say that it's still predominantly for right-handed shooters, and that's why you get that slight little wiggle here and that slight little wiggle here. And here's the reason why. The reason why is your safety is on, and your safety is telling the trigger when you're pulling the trigger, no, I'm not going to let you fire this because this is I'm a safety. You're not going to be able to actuate that hammer so you'll discharge. So that's what's really going on. It's really a way of saying, no, trigger, you're not going to work. So with the safety off, you will not see a wiggle on both. You don't see a wiggle there at all. But safety on, you're going to see that. Now, it's more pronounced when you rack it. I'm going to put the safety on. It's more pronounced when you first rack it, and then you'll see the safety move. You saw it really, really move right there. Now, I'm going to re-rack and see what happens. You notice how it moved. If you look at it between my finger and here, and that's what it's doing on the first when you first rack it. Other than that, you'll see a slight movement. So it's basically just saying that the trigger, that the safety is really stopping the trigger from its normal function. Regular function is fine, and even on the reset, everything is fine. Let me try it from this angle. You don't see a movement there. So hopefully that answers Assam's question. And he has nothing to worry about. There's not like it's a manufacturer's problem or anything else like that. It's just basically the way certain firearms are made. And they all have their little characteristics and different inconsistencies, but long as you're not having any issues or anything like that, I don't have any issues with this. I've also tried this on my P220 Legion one with the safety. I slightly see it in that, but he was concerned about this particular model. So hopefully that answers that question. And happy shooting. Stay safe. #2A.